Tonight, a wild night of weather across the region, with fire crews kept busy. And the South Australian budget receives a positive response.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Our region is picking up the pieces after a brutal 24 hours of weather. Multiple fires sparked by lightning strikes caused havoc as farmers desperately tried to save their crops. The Yorke Peninsula one of the hardest hit, with thousands of customers also losing power.
Burnt out crops, all that's left following last night's ferocious weather. Dry lightning causing chaos, with 146 fires across the state. Port Broughton farmer Joanne Edwards spotting multiple fires erupting on her property.
Went up to one of the highest peaks on our farm and just saw the lightning just all around, and then just saw it ignite. Started with one, then a couple, and then multiple, and yeah, just pretty scary.
Farm fighting units working with CFS crews to stop the flames. Assessing the damages today, farmers are thankful it was contained quickly.
Quite a lot of green in it and still a few green ryegrass seeds in it, which slowed the fire up, so that made the job easier, but it was pretty intense because there was so much lightning, obviously.
We are so very, very lucky in our area. You have a fire like this, and we have farm units, Wards Hill, Broughton, CFS, just here so quickly.
On the Eyre Peninsula, a fire sparked by lightning occurred near North Shields late yesterday afternoon. Aerial bombers quick to the scene. SA Power Network responding to more than 300,000 lightning strikes with a large number of outages. Adding to the wild weather, Clare Valley was hit with hail. Farmers say despite the intense conditions, remaining calm is critical.
As far as adrenaline goes to fight the fire, but yeah, you've got to keep control and keep a level head.
Farmers will now be turning their focus to finishing harvest before any more wild weather hits.
There's quite a lot of green in our crops, and it's just proving hard to get the headers in the paddock and get the crop off without blocking the header up. But as soon as this weather lifts, we'll be back into it trying to get the rest of the crop off.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Billions is set to be injected across South Australia in a desperate attempt to fire up the economy in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. The state government unveiling its budget, with regional roads one of its big ticket items.
There's no shying away, it's a big spending budget, with more than $1 billion being injected into regional SA. But the government says that's exactly what's needed to help revive the economy.
No one ever envisaged we would confront a challenge as sinister and momentous as a global pandemic. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic came immediately after the carnage wrought by one of the worst bushfires in the history of our state.
Regional roads has snagged the lion's share of rural spending with $52 million, while every public school will receive grants of up to $100,000 for urgent maintenance.
Given that these schools will be using local tradies, and there are over 20 government schools on Eyre Peninsula, then I think the flow-on effect of this will be really important.
But the opposition isn't so sure. Job growth is expected to stagnate over the coming year. Concerns are now mounting SA will fall behind the national growth rate of 2.75%.
Jobs should be the number one priority. The fact that this budget is not going to deliver jobs for a long time to come is deeply concerning.
Labor says rural communities are missing out.
Regional South Australia, and especially some parts of regional South Australia, have missed out, and we're seeing the overwhelming lion's share of the investment happen in Adelaide.
The $9 billion north-south corridor upgrade taking a large chunk out of the budget, but the government says there's still plenty for regional communities. $25 million is guaranteed for the Regional Growth Fund, while $10 million will go towards a new cancer patient facility.
Clearly with COVID there's been a big impact on jobs. A responsible budget has to address that. This one does.
The spending spree set to be funded by borrowing, with debt to surpass $33 billion. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meanwhile, industry groups connected to our region are pleased with the projects and programs announced in the budget. The RAA hailing the document as a major economic stimulus win, with millions of dollars allocated to tourism.
It's a $650 million win for RAA, with the money being invested into a range of road projects. Hundreds of millions of dollars allocated to bring regional highways up to standard.
The announcement in yesterday's budget saw some really good outcomes to improve the safety and the efficiency of our road network, particularly in regional parts of South Australia.
The RAA says it also welcomes the increased investment in signage for tourists along the highways.
A lot of projects also will start in 2021, including upgrades of major roads on highways such as the Air Highway and down through the Barrier Highway as well.
The Chamber of Mines and Energy is pleased with the federal and state government's $135 million commitment towards the sealing of the Strzelecki track. Its CEO says the trek is vital for mining interests in the northern areas.
It's a vital supply link for South Australia's major oil and gas producers in the Cooper Basin. So we're really welcoming of the clarification around what the actual budget will cost, which is about $180 million.
Primary Producers South Australia says while it was a budget with few surprises for agriculture, funding allocations for road infrastructure and drought and bushfire recovery would help move the industry forward.
Everything we grow has to go to either a port or a factory, and we use, the roads are really important as far as our cost of doing business goes.
Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, the region pauses to mark the anniversary of the end of World War I, and Port Augusta Council selects a new deputy mayor. Welcome back. Communities across the nation fell silent at 11 a.m, commemorating the 102nd anniversary of the armistice, which ended World War I. Port Perry's RSL welcoming veterans and residents back to the club after its ceremony.
A day to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Ceremonies were held across the country where both young and old gathered to commemorate.
It was a lot of Australians lost their lives fighting this World War I. And we lost a lot of young Australians.
Back at Port Perry's RSL, community members came together to share stories. Veterans welcoming the interest of younger generations.
The education to let them know to carry on future generations. War's not a nice thing.
Port Perry's Dr. Sam Ali knows too well the horrors of war, volunteering in war-torn countries.
Well, at a personal level, I have served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I've also served in East Timor, and as a civilian contractor in the Solomon Islands.
He's honoured to stand side by side with local veterans.
Very, very honoured to be standing here, especially given the fact that we are here representing the soldiers who served in previous generations as well.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta West could soon be home to a truck stop with a development application lodged. But nearby accommodation businesses say the proposal could have a negative impact on local tourism. Katrina Musson has more.
A development application for a truck stop made to the Development Assessment Panel has raised concerns with 2 local accommodation providers. Bentley's Cabin Park and Discovery Holiday Park owners are speaking out. They say increased noise and traffic flow will have a negative impact.
It is going to be a killer to our project, and certainly it will affect badly any further development on the southern end of the site. So, we're very concerned about it.
It's going to cause a detrimental effect to guests staying in that area through, substantial increase in noise levels at all times of the day and night. There'll also be smell from the trailers.
Future plans for Port Augusta are also under a cloud. Both concerned investment in the local tourism industry may be at risk.
Tourism's a really important part of the local economy, and if visitors have a negative experience, visitation of Port Augusta is going to drop.
There is not a shortage of vehicles being able to get fuel in Port Augusta, yet accommodation is a high employer, and there is a massive shortage at the moment.
Both council and the developer were contacted but declined to make comment on the ongoing matter.
Whyalla City Council is encouraging locals to report any dog-related incidents, following several reports of attacks in recent weeks. Under the Dog and Cat Management Act, all South Australian pet owners are responsible for their behaviour. Council urging residents to report them in a timely manner.
Even if it's just rushed out at you, please let us know. It's easier to err on the side of caution and try and sort that out before something does happen.
All incidents can be reported directly to Council. Port Augusta City Council members have elected Lindley Shine as Deputy Mayor for the next 12 months. The city's mayor welcoming the news today. He also thanked outgoing Deputy Philip Brown, who served in the role for the past 2 years.
I congratulate the previous Deputy Mayor for all the effort that he put in, and I now look forward to and congratulate the new Deputy Mayor, Councillor Lindley Shine.
Mayor Benbow is asking the community to welcome Councillor Shine into the role. Stay with us. A Quorn tourism attraction receives a funding boost, and children's entertainer Peter Coombe performs in Port Lincoln. Flinders Ranges Council has received a state government grant for a local project aimed at luring visitors to the area. New walking trails will be constructed, developing the area as the bush tucker capital of Australia.
Living up to its name as the Bush Tucker capital of Australia, the Quorn Bush Tucker Trail will be jointly funded by Council and the state government, with a new walking path linking local infrastructure to be created.
We're pretty excited about that opportunity. The Bush Food Trail and Exercise Path and Walk is a project we've been working on pretty steadily over the last 6 to 12 months.
Attorney General Vicky Chapman says the grant will help councils build what matters.
So they need extra support in sporting facilities, playgrounds, walking trails. These are all aspects that are really important to supplement the tourism experience.
The $480,000 project is set to be a major tourism drawcard for the region, showcasing native food from the bush.
We know bush tucker's an expanding interest for most of Australia, and we are looking for some diversification in our rural sector here to help support our region, so we thought that was a good opportunity to tie the two together.
Construction is set to begin in February next year.
Provide those better linkages between the north and south parts of Quorn, and to get the bush tucker branding and walking trail and the garden areas established for people to use.
Katrina Musson, 7 Spencer Golf News.
NAIDOC celebrations are continuing, with Whyalla putting on a range of events throughout the Steel City. One of them including an Indigenous movie screening, with more than 300 children attending this morning.
An educational movie teaching these students the importance of NAIDOC Week.
Today we're celebrating Nunga Screen, formerly known as a black screen. We've changed the name to Nunga Screen this year, and it's about short films produced by First Nations people up on screen.
Students from a range of Whyalla schools piling into the Middleback Arts Centre this morning to see the short screening.
We've got the Whyalla Special Education Centre, MOPS, Longstreet, Stewart High School. A great selection.
A selection of short films on offer to locals.
One film that's really quite close to us is Dusty Feet Mob. So there's a short film that's been made by the Dusty Feet Mob, which are a group of dancers from Port Augusta.
Meanwhile, at Gumidity Manu, these women spent the day learning how to weave a basket. Indigenous artist Marley Macumba travelling down from Port Augusta to teach the class.
There's a connection to culture, because my family's from the APY lands. A lot of my stuff's inspired by the John P. Weavers.
For more information about the weaving, you can visit Marley's Art Facebook page. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Legendary children's entertainer Peter Coombe is touring the Lower Eyre Peninsula, performing to a sold-out crowd at Port Lincoln's Nautilus Theatre. The musician belting out some of his greatest hits, as well as some new pieces.
Wash your face in orange juice. Wash your face in orange juice.
He's been a household name for decades.
When Mr. Clickety came, the lazy silly game.
Adelaide entertainer Peter Coombe performing at a sold-out crowd in Port Lincoln last night, belting out hit after hit.
I'm excited to see him with my friends.
Those who have grown up with his music now bringing their children to see him.
Yeah, we've got the whole DVD collection and
CD collection at home. So yeah, my three have definitely grown up with him.
Children's songs, if they're any good at all, they will tend to be passed down to another generation, and that's lovely that they are.
The Aussie singer performing some of his best-known hits as well as some new songs.
There's a new one called Ting Tang Ting Tong, which is really silly, that one. But I'll be doing some of the old favourites as well, like Toffee Apple, Newspaper Mama.
I've seen Peter Coon.
Juicy Juicy Green Grass was definitely my favourite.
He'll be performing 5 shows in Port Lincoln as well as venturing to Tumby Bay and Cummins, the 72-year-old showing no sign of slowing down.
So far, touch wood, the voice is okay. Was okay. and I still love it.
All the kids in the street, they like to do the same.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Wish I was there. Stay with us after the break. We will check the latest fuel prices. And Alex will have the latest weather details. Hello again. Time to check on how things are shaping up at petrol bowsers across our region. Here's Nathan Regter with this week's Fuel Watch.
It's fairly good news if you need to fill up the car this week, with petrol prices seeing a slight dip over the past 7 days. Starting with unleaded, and here in Port Lincoln it stayed the same on $1.16, while it's been given a slight reprieve down to $1.15 a litre. Port Augusta also seeing a drop to $1.19, while Port Pirie is on $1.15 a litre. Kadina and Broken Hill have stayed the same on $1.17 and $1.23 a litre. Adelaide is the only centre to see a rise, now averaging $1.15. Moving over to diesel now, and there's not much movement. Port Lincoln and Whyalla have stayed the same on $1.16 and $1.15 a litre. Port Augusta has seen a slight drop to $1.17, while Port Pirie has stayed the same on $1.14. Kadina and Broken Hill have both seen no movement over the week, sitting on $1.16 and $1.25 a litre. Adelaide has dropped down to $1.06 a litre. Taking a quick look at Autogas and Port Lincoln, Whyalla and Port Augusta have all stayed the same, averaging 89, 87 and 89 cents a litre. Port Pirie has seen a slight price hike up to 83 cents a litre, while Kadina and Broken Hill have stayed the same, 89 and 83 respectively. Adelaide has seen a slight rise to 67 cents a litre. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, diesel or autogas for cheaper, make sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
To the weather now, and after a nasty 24 hours across South Australia, we can expect a mild end to the week. With the latest details, here's Alex Sykes.
Yes, that's right, John. Good evening. From 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta reached 31, Port Lincoln 22, Broken Hill getting to a high of 36 degrees. To the rest of the region, Cooper Pedy got to a top of 30, Whyalla also 30 degrees, Port Pirie 29, Kadina and Woodna both 25, Adelaide getting to a high of 24. To the satellite now, low cloud crossing the south with a cold front delivering a few gusty showers. Cloud clearing from the northeast is producing some light rain. Bright patchy cloud crossing central parts in the jet stream is not producing any rain. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Northwesterly 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 20 to 30 knots in the south around midday. Seas between 1 and 1.5 metres, increasing to 2.5 around midday. South to southwesterly swell below 1 metre. Cloudy conditions across most of the region. Port Lincoln set to get to a high of 20, Cleve and Woodna 21. Whyalla 24, Port Augusta set to get to a high of 28, Kadina a top of 22. Port Pirie cloudy 25, Clare a shower or two set to reach 20, and Broken Hill mostly sunny and 28 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, mainly fine conditions on Friday. Cooper Pedy sunny and 31, similar conditions in Broken Hill 25, cloudy in Woodna also 25, mainly fine in Port Augusta 27. Sunny across most of the region with windy conditions in Woodna and Cooper Pedy on Saturday. Broken Hill 31, Kadina a degree warmer 32, Whyalla 33, Port Pirie 34, Port Lincoln set to reach a max of 26. Similar conditions carrying through to Sunday. Cooper Pedy mainly mainly fine and 40. Broken Hill 39. Port Augusta set to reach a high of 37. And if you're heading to Adelaide, it'll be sunny there, a top of 28. That's all the weather from me tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks, Alex. And that's your local news this Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later, and we will be back tomorrow night at 7. Enjoy your evening. Good night.